When we're rotating a figure counterclockwise about the origin, we're going to use 3 rules in order to find our new coordinates. These can be really hard to eyeball. We kind of eyeballed with reflections a little bit, but rotations are a little bit harder to do. So we're going to use 3 different rules for doing a 90, a 180, and a 270-degree rotation. Basically a quarter turn, a half turn, and 3/4 turn around the origin. So our rules are going to be for the 90-degree rotation. We're going to use, like with our reflection video, if you watch that one, we're going to use A and B to represent our coordinates instead of X and Y. Our rule is going to be to do the opposite of B, comma A. In other words, we're going to switch the order of our coordinates and then change the sign of the new number that's in front. For our 180-degree rotation, we're going to use the rule opposite of A, comma opposite of B. So the order of our variables, our coordinates, will stay the same, but we'll change the sign. And notice I'm saying opposite, not negative, because we don't want to think we're always going to have negative coordinates. We're going to have the opposite of what they start out as. And then for a 270 rotation, we're again going to switch the order, but this time we're going to change the sign of the new number that's in the back. So B, comma opposite of A. So let's go ahead and we'll do the first part together, and then I'm going to graph that, and then I'm going to have you guys finish this out and do the other 2 columns yourself. So for our 90-degree rotation, we're going to call our image, the first one, R prime. We'd say then like R double prime once you guys get to that, and R triple prime. But I want you guys to try that part on your own. So here's what I recommend doing to keep things as simple as possible. The first thing that I'd have you do before you change any signs, just switch the order of your 2 coordinates. So the first thing I want you to write down is just the coordinates backwards. So write 1, 3. And then according to the rule for the 90-degree rotation, we then change the sign of the new number that's in front. So in this case, the 1. If you try to change the sign first, people end up changing the wrong sign. It seems a lot. So my recommendation, and I've done a lot of these, switch the order first and then switch your sign, okay, for a 90-degree rotation. So for S prime, I'm going to switch the order first. I'm going to write down 1, 5, and my rule said to now change the sign of the new number that's in front, so the 1 becomes a negative 1. T prime, I'm going to switch the order first, so just write down -3, 5, and then switch the sign in front, so I'm going to have a +3, 5. And then finally U prime is going to, originally, I'm going to start with -1, 2, but then switch the sign of the new number in front, so I'm going to have +1, 2. So let's go ahead and graph those 4 coordinates and take a look and see that this does in fact have the effect of rotating our figure a quarter turn, okay? So I've gone ahead and graphed the original 4 coordinates already. If you need to pause the video and do that yourself, go ahead and pause the video and do that yourself. Otherwise, let me just graph the points real quick. Yeah, let's graph those points real quick. So there's my new figure. Notice I can, what I've done was I've rotated, so I've done a quarter turn, so I've gone counterclockwise, so in this direction, and 90 degrees equates to about a quarter turn of the paper. So I can see that, yeah, this did rotate like I said it would. Notice that I've labeled my coordinates. That's a great thing to do. I'd recommend you label as you go because it can be hard with some of these rotations to visualize where those coordinates end up. So label those as you go. What I want to do now is I want you guys to pause the video, try to do that same thing or a similar thing for our other 2 rules. So we have a 180 and a 270. So if you let the video play through, my answers will pop up and then I'll show you my graphs as well. So you can imagine this spinning around the origin. However, it'd probably be a lot better if you guys tried this on your own. So make that choice. But make a good choice. I'd recommend you pause that video and try this on your own right now. So there are my coordinates. Hopefully you came up with the same thing. Remember for that 270 rotation, because we're switching the order, I'd recommend the first thing you do is just switch the order of the numbers and then change the sign of the new number in the back. So let's go ahead and graph these as well. We'll see that we do have a complete rotation of this figure rotating completely around. So again, go ahead and pause the video if you have not graphed already. Otherwise, let it play through and you will see what the graphs of these final 2 images look like. So there are all three of my rotations, and again, I can visualize that picture or that figure rotating around the origin. It's kind of neat if you kind of put your pencil at the origin and spin your paper around. You can kind of imagine that shape spinning around and like a merry-go-round as it completes its rotation around the origin.